Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Anna. Welcome. I'm happy to see you. Hope you enjoy. So I am a true crime channel, and I'll do like a little bit of things. Sometimes I do makeup, sometimes I just talk to you guys like I am right now. And you know, I like to throw some cold cases, urban legends, stuff like that in there. So if you have any ideas on cases that you would like to hear, just don't be scared to comment down below. DM me on Instagram, Twitter, you know, Snapchat, whatever. But I do want to give a little disclaimer for today's story. I want to give a warning for graphic descriptions of a crime scene, very graphic, adult dialogue and language, and yeah, it's going to be a little intense, so prepare yourselves. So today we are going to be talking about the Papin sisters. If you haven't heard of them, I would seriously, like, after this video, watch some videos on them. It was just crazy. Okay, so like I said, let's get into it. So Christine and Leah Papin were born in France in the early 1900s. Christine was born in 1905 and Leah was born in 1911. They had a very rough childhood. Their dad was an alcoholic and he was abusive sexually and physically and mentally. And it was seen that, you know, their mom was kind of like not the best mother. And it was said that she was of low moral standards. So take with that what you will. Anyways, her mother's name was Clemens, and her dad's name, or their dad's name, was Gustav. So I'm gonna call them Clem and Gus, because that's a mouthful every time I talk about them. So Clem gave birth to her first child in 1901. Her name was Amelia. 4 years later, when Christine was born, Clem gave Amelia to Gustav's sister, because she said it was just like, it was way too much for her. She could not handle, you know, 2 kids. She didn't even like want to have kids, honestly. They did not plan to have them or anything, but that didn't fucking stop them. Anyways, so shortly after Leah was born, Clem found out that Gus had raped their oldest daughter, Amelia, 10 years old at the time, which I can only imagine the trauma that would cause on a child. Like, But Clem immediately filed for divorce and sent Amelia to a convent. Clem thought a convent, sorry. You know, like a nunnery, like, you know, where you become a nun. So Clem thought that Amelia seduced her father. So she was like really, really mad at her. Like, she thought it was her daughter's fault. Like, she took Gus's side, saying that, you know, I guess her daughter shouldn't have been such a little whatever. Anyways, so Clem sent Amelia, the oldest daughter, the firstborn, she sent her to a convent to be raised by nuns at the convent of Le Bon Pasteur. My little French accent. Le Bon Pasteur. That was known for being a very, very harsh place. Like, they were not easy on people, like, at all. I'm about to put this lip gloss on real quick because I keep messing with it. Hold on. Alright. As further revenge against the children, she took Christine away from her, you know, from Gustav's sister. And she was in like a very loving situation. Like, she was happy there. But because she was a bitch and she felt like, you know, her daughters were sluts, I guess, she wanted to punish them even more. So she also sent Leah to live with a great uncle just to get like completely away from the kids. She wanted no responsibility of daughters, like, at all whatsoever. She just didn't want anything to do with them. And I think that's really sad, especially like I said, she didn't want kids, but that didn't stop her from having them, like, one bit. But the girls flourished. And, I mean, they did so good. They excelled. They were happy. They were loved. And, you know, so to get her revenge, of course, she took the girls. Well, Amelia had actually converted and became a nun. And she was so mad about that. The mom, Clem, I guess she didn't want her to be a nun, but she sent her to a school to be raised by nuns. So, I mean, I don't really see how, like, that works, but, okay. But Christine, the second oldest, she was to follow in Amelia's footsteps. And like I said, Clem heard about this and was like, oh, hell no, I am not having this. Not at all. So, she pulled Christine out of the convent because she thought that Christine needed to be working instead of becoming a nun. But Amelia was of age, so she could basically do what she wanted to. So she refused. She was like, I'm not going anywhere. This is where I'm happiest. I flourished here, as she should. She's old enough to do her own thing. So Clem, like I said, removed Chris immediately, fearing losing another potential income. So she found her work in the middle class house of the Le Mans. She was a perfect fit. Like, they loved her. Her mother wanted them, though, to pay her more. So, of course, it didn't last long, like, at all. She just could not let her daughters be happy for, like, any reason whatsoever. And I think that shows a lot about her character as, like, a person and as a mother. But Christine was forced to quit and find better jobs where there was more money because I guess their mom didn't work, and so she relied solely on the girls for income. Leah was taken from her great uncle after he died and sent to work with Christine. Now, Christine and Leah, they had been separated, you know, for like 7 years or so, and they didn't really know each other. I mean, they knew that they were sisters, they spent time together, but other than that, you know, they didn't really bond that much. But even though they were separated for so long, they instantly bonded. It was just like a connection, like, made by the cosmos. If y'all hear a noise, it's a heater. It's a little bit extra cold in here tonight, so like, I'm so sorry, but I will talk louder so you guys like don't hear it that much. So like I said, they got completely close. They spent all their free time together. They loved being with each other so much. In 1926, Christine got the job as a maid and a cook for the Lancelin family. They were a, you know, more rich family. It was Monsieur Lachlan and his wife Leonie and their daughter Genevieve. They had another daughter, but she, you know, didn't live with them at the time. After a few months of them, you know, being satisfied with the work that Christine was doing for him, Christine wanted her sister Leah to come work for them as the chambermaid. So that's exactly what Leah did, and they were ecstatic to be together, and they, you know, they worked perfectly together. They kept to themselves. They didn't they didn't do, you know, talk back. You know, they did what they were supposed to do, and the family absolutely loved them. They worked long hours. They were loyal, never tried to find suitors to leave, and, you know, they thought they had hit the jackpot. And I guess it was important that they, you know, didn't find suitors to go off and get married, because, you know, if they went off and got married, that meant that they couldn't, you know, be their maids. They couldn't clean for them. They couldn't cook for them, you know, all that good stuff. So all that being said, you know, everybody was happy. Although the Lacklins were Lancelins, I am so sorry. Even though the Lancelins were pleased with the girls, a previous employer said that Christine was kind of like mouthy, and that she was kind of rude sometimes, and that she would refuse to do work. But they hadn't seen any of this, so, you know, they just pushed it to the side, and they didn't think anything of it, you know. But local shopkeepers keepers and stuff said that the girls never went anywhere. They were very distant. They stayed with each other. They spent all of their 2-hour breaks locked in their room together, like the whole 2 hours, which I thought was like weird, but okay. I mean, they could do anything in the world that they wanted to. Not in the world, but you know, they could do anything on their 2-hour break, but they spent it locked in a room together. Locked in a room for 2 hours. What were they doing? Anyways, so like I said, with all that being said, you know, the girls got a very nice room with heat, and you know, they just had their own like balcony and everything, and it was just really, really nice. And they were just so happy, and they were getting good money. They got along with the madam and Genevieve, and they were well fed. You know, it was a very, very good job for them. They were very well privileged, because in that time, you know, like, it wasn't said that maids got taken care of like that. You know, they didn't get heated rooms. They didn't get special treatment. Like, that just, I'm so sorry for yawning. That was just, you know, not said. So the two girls got close to the madam, and, you know, they looked to her like a mother figure. Their mom was a piece of shit to them. So they just basically like latched on to Madame Lancelin. And they called her mom sometimes, and they called their mother that woman. That's how they referred to her. And when Madame Lancelin found out that Christine and Leo were sending their money, like, that they made to their mother, she put a stop to it. She actually confronted Clemens and was like, you know, your jackpot has ended, you know, like, you're done. Your gravy train is over, basically. You're not getting any more money from these girls. And she encouraged the girls highly to stand up for themselves and to keep their money, because they deserve it. So, like I said, the two girls had a small balcony. That was like, it was very, very luxurious for them to be treated that way. And they could just look over and people watch and just spend time together. I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. Like, I don't mean to say that they're weird, but they're weird. I mean, if you're weird, you're weird. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Cool, I like weirdos, but like, they're just strangely like not right weirdos. So yeah. After a few years though, Madame Lancelin started to turn like extremely mean. She fell into like a depression, and she was just really rude, and just, she was very, very critical of the work that the girls did, especially Leia, because Leia didn't stand up for herself and wasn't outspoken and everything like Christine was. So, you know, she took advantage of her. She thought, you know, she saw that as a weakness. So she made her sometimes kneel down on the ground. Like, if Leia had just got done sweeping and cleaning and dusting, she would nitpick every little thing and just be like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And she would force her to kneel down on her hands and knees on the ground and pick up like all the trash, all little pieces of dust or lint or microscopic whatevers that she left behind. And which is like, that's ridiculous. Like, I get, you know, some people having a like obsessive compulsive disorder, and like cleaning is part of it and cleanliness, but like, she was just being a bitch, like, straight up. She just was. And later that day, Leia had told Christine what actually, you know, happened with the madam. And Chris vowed to stand up for her sister if something like that ever happened again, and she had nothing to worry about at all. And that she, you know, wouldn't get away with doing something like that ever again. So on February 12th, 1933, the Madam and Genevieve, her daughter, went out to shop, and Monsieur Lancelin, he went to his office, you know, to go to work. It was a normal day. They were just doing what they did. So Madam the madam and her daughter returned home from shopping, the house was completely dark. Like, it was completely black, except for, like, one little candlelight that was in the upstairs girl's bedroom. There was, like, 3 levels. So, it was, like, that was the only one. Well, the house had gone dark because Leah had tried to plug in a iron, and the iron shorted out and just like sent off all the circuits and just shut off all the power to the whole entire house. Just shorted out like everything, which is insane. Christine actually met the madam and Genevieve at the door because they were like, what the heck is going on? Like, why is the house dark? So Christine met them at the door to, you know, try to keep them calm and to let them know that everything was okay and what happened. And, you know, the madam just flew into a blind rage. Now, some stories say that she attacked Christine, and some say that she didn't, that she just flew into a blind rage and just started verbally attacking the girls. Well, Christine picked up a pewter jug and smashed the madam over the head, just like out of nowhere, just over the head. Just knock her out. Like, what the anyway, sorry. Genevieve tried to help her mom, but Leah was instructed by Christine to grab her, and, you know, she listened to her sister. That's exactly what she did. Chris shouted to her sister, and I quote, "I'm going to massacre them." Chris ordered Leah to smash Genevieve's head into the ground, and so she did. She also told her to rip out her eyes and you know, the exact same was done to Madame Lancelin, which is like, that's really brutal, man. But the victim also, you know, they laid there blind, and they were in a daze. They were confused. They had no idea what was going on. I only imagine they were probably screaming and crying and just, you know, like blood everywhere. It was just gory. It was just terrible. The girls went to go get more weapons actually to finish them off. They actually got a kitchen knife and a hammer, and they were screaming and yelling for help. But, you know, there was nothing that anybody was going to be able to, like, do for them, I guess. So they saw that they were dead, and they prepared the bodies to cooking, or like for cooking, and they prepared the body with a rabbit stew recipe from a 1901 cookbook. Not done with the crime yet. They lifted the madam and Genevieve's skirt up over their faces, and they proceeded to slash their thighs and their butts, just completely mutilating their bodies beyond recognition. And I just want to give a fair warning that this part is extremely disturbing and graphic. So if you want to skip just like 30 seconds or so, like, I would do that. So, as if they were applying a baste to the mother, the girls had somehow harvested Genevieve, Madame Lancelin's daughter. They got her menstruation blood, and they basted the mom in her own daughter's menstruation blood. So, yeah. After that, the girls cleaned up, and they locked all the doors and all the windows in the house, made sure all the doors were closed, everything, in the whole entire house. Not just like the front and back door, every room in the house, every bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, everything. They locked it all, and, you know, the lights were still out, so it was completely dark in there. The girls got naked together, and they showered off, and they went and they laid in bed together with one single, you know, candle lit on the bedside table. Monsieur Lancelin, he came home to find the house locked up and completely black. So previously, him and Genevieve and Madame Lancelin, they had a prior dinner party engagement that night. So he thought that they had just gone there. I mean, it's, they don't have cell phones this time. You can't just call somebody up. Excuse me. You can't just call somebody up and be like, hey, bro, you there? Like, it doesn't work like that. So he just headed to the party. And whenever he got there, he realized that Genevieve and, Madam, they were not there, like, at all. And obviously that worried him. So he got a friend and they headed back to, his house to see what... I'm so sorry. To see what was going on. They got there and they noticed the one single candlelight on the 3rd story where the 2 maids were, the girls, Christine and Leia. And they summoned a gendarme. I guess it was like a police, or whatever. I guess it was like the French word because, this happened in France. But anyways, he gained entry by scaling the wall of the garden on the 1st floor. As an officer shone his flashlight over the stairwell leading to the crime scene, he shuddered. He was completely distraught. Like, he was like, I mean, I can only imagine, why did I make that face? I can only imagine probably how scared he was and worried for his life. But a milky eyeball was looking back at him on the stairwell where he had just recently shown his flashlight. Madame Lancelin and Genevieve were on the 2nd floor. They were mutilated beyond recognition. In the reports and stuff, it was said that their faces were bashed in and mutilated so much that it looked like ground beef, like a meat grinder had been taken to their face. So you can only imagine how bad it was. One of Genevieve's eyeballs was found under her, and her other eyeball was the milky one that the police officer saw while shining his flashlight on the stairwell. And Madame Lancelin's 2 eyeballs were found in the scarf around her neck that she was wearing. Madame Lancelin was... She was face down she was face up and Genevieve was laying on her stomach. So it was just like a very, very grisly scene. Like, it was described to be just horrific beyond measures. Like, you couldn't imagine how bad it was. So the officers continued to the 3rd floor where the girls were, the maids, Christine and Leia, because, they were scared that they had assumed the same fate as Madame Lancelin and her daughter Genevieve. So the only light that they saw was the one singular light coming from the keyhole of the door to the 2 girls' bedroom. And that light was from, the candle that was on the bedside table. The officer was banging on the door. He could hear, low talking and whispering. It was the girls. And, hushes and everything. And finally, he forced entry. And upon entry to the bedroom, the 2 sisters were laying on the bed, completely naked, cuddling each other. And there was a hammer on a table beside the bed where the girls were, laying beside them, that was covered in blood and brain matter. So they were laying there on the bed, naked, together, cuddling, with a hammer that they had just used to murder people with their brains on them and blood. You've got to be a sick, twisted person to be able to do something like that. That's... Nah. So the girls, they didn't even try to deny it. They immediately confessed to their crimes, but they claimed self-defense. Christine explained what happened, the argument, and how, they got into a fight, and she had to defend herself. But it was, at that point, it's, that's taken way, way too far. That's overkill. So, the people in the town, they actually Like, they felt sympathy for the girls because they thought it was a result of poor treatment from the rich to the poor community of, like, the working class, especially with maids. Like, they thought it was a result of mistreatment. Like, the girls didn't just snap. They were tired of being used and treated the way that they were, so they did something about it. I'm not saying by any means that it was okay or that it was right, because it was not whatsoever, but that's just what happened. The lawyers wanted the girls to claim insanity, and, you know, they surely looked the part. They just stared off, like, and had, like, the blankest looks on their faces, didn't talk, didn't speak, just didn't do anything. They just acted crazy almost. So the two girls protected each other. They never, ever implicated each other in the crimes. They always took blame for, you know, like, for one another's, not one another's crimes, but, you know, they tried to take the blame off of each other. Sorry. So the lawyers shared a family history of an uncle that died in an insane asylum, and, you know, just the girls' background and the rage and the alcoholism and just all the abuse that the girls had endured, and how it probably shaped them to be these cold-blooded killers that could, you know, be capable of doing something so terrible and so horrific to this magnitude of, like, beyond belief. And the court felt Leah was under Christine's control, so she got 10 years of hard labor, which is where they send you off to, like, a work camp, and you just do labor, like digging trenches and hard stuff, and that's just how you live out your sentence. So Christine was given death by the guillotine on September 30th, 1933, in the public square at Le Mans. That's where, you know, it was supposed to take place. So the sisters were kept separate, and this had a very, very debilitating mental health, you know, problem on Christine, because she, you know, was separated from Leah. And like I said, their bond was extremely close, so she felt like a part of her almost was missing. So the warden let them see each other because Christine had, you know, refused to eat. She had had fits of rage. She threatened to tear out her own eyes. She was placed in a straitjacket because of this, all because she wanted to see her sister Leah. So the warden let them see each other. When Christine finally saw Leah, she made sexual advances towards her and reached up to try to rip open her blouse and was just begging, "Say yes, please. Say yes, please. Say yes, please." So, I mean, she basically, like, went, I don't know, like, went crazy because she couldn't be with her sister. And it was obvious that, like, there was sexual tension between them two. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I'm not going to say it was obvious. Scratch that. My personal opinion is I think that it was a sexual relationship. Like, I think there was a form of incest going on there. That's not facts. We don't know that, but that's just, you know, my opinion. So, January 22nd, 1934, President Albert LeBurn issued a state of execution for Christine and resentenced her to life of hard labor. Shortly after this, she was transferred to an asylum in Rennes. She had written a letter pleading to, you know, be with Leah, and she just wanted to see her sister, but obviously that was fucking denied, and she refused to eat, and within, you know, a few years, she just withered away. She died at the asylum, age 32 years old, May 18th, 1937. Leah actually got out, and she changed her name and went back to her piece of shit mother, and she just got another job as a maid, working at a hotel, and that was just, you know, what she did. And it was said that she died, but there was no exact day of her death. Just 1982 was like the general year of when she died. There was no pictures of, like, headstones. There's no proof of any of that whatsoever. There's just a picture of an elderly woman claiming to be Leah Papin. Later, a documentary was being made called In Search of the Papin Sisters by Claude Ventura. She claimed she was alive in the film. You can see her face. You can see her sitting there in a wheelchair because she was paralyzed partly, and she had lost speech, because she had a stroke. And she couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, she just wasn't able to communication. And you can see in the documentary that it looks like Leah Papin, but, we'll never know for sure. And she said that it was just, it added, like, her being so quiet and just sitting there and not paying any attention to anything added to the mystery of, like, a cold and calculated, like, murderer and the things that she did, and it just added to the eeriness of it. So, yeah, that was the story of the Papin sisters. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I have, like, some questions. Was Leah alive? Did she not really die in 1982? Did she stay alive when this documentary came out? Was it really her? I mean, we knew that she had changed her name and moved away and got a new identity. So, I would assume, why wouldn't she fake her own death? Like I said, it's not facts or anything. That's just speculation, like my personal opinion. And, like, was there a relationship? Was there family incest? How was her family's reaction? What did their mother do? Did her mother freak out? Obviously, she didn't disown him because Leah went to live with him. I don't know. I don't feel like Leah was as attached to Christine as Christine was as attached to her. It's personal opinion. I feel like she was the one that made most of the sexual advances. I don't know if that's true or not, but it just seems that Leah, wasn't all about it as much as Christine was. So, I don't know. Do you think they were crazy? I think they were a little crazy. Or did they just snap? I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed today's story, you guys. I kind of feel weird saying that, but I enjoy, spending time with y'all and making these videos for you. And like I said in the beginning, if you have any cases that you want to recommend to me, I'll be more than happy to do so. I will leave the products that I use on my face today in the description box down below. I'm loving this eye look. It's very smoky. It's very sultry. But, yeah, so follow, like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Thank you so much for all the subscribers and the views. I greatly appreciate it. It's really been something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. I love true crime. I'm not going to say I love murder, but, like, I just love, true crime. We'll just leave it at that. But, yeah, so the crazier the better stories. If you guys, like I said, have any suggestions, just let me know. And so, yeah, thank you, and I love you. Be safe out there and be kind. And, yeah, peace.